Good morning. Does anybody know what this is? It's an airmail letter. This is what we used to do back in the day. Dear Mom and Dad, I'm finally over that intestinal bug I've had for here in Ghana for the last 3 months. Don't worry, I'm fine, but I have lost a lot of weight. I look great. I'm so thin, I think I even would feel good in a bikini. Oh, but I went out to the village the other day and saw some women I hadn't seen in a long time. They were horrified. I was too thin. They said to me, "You've got to eat." Sound a little familiar? You've got to eat, you're not happy. And I realized, being in Ghana, being fat is actually a sign of wealth and happiness. A little different than America. That was a letter I wrote home when I was 25 living in Ghana. And I tell that story because being in different culture with different cultural norms doesn't just happen overseas. It happens in our JCCs every day. I recently moved from the JCC of the East Bay to the JCC in Palo Alto, the Oshman family JCC. And it has been an adventure. I used to say I wanted to take another adventure, but I couldn't bring my husband and 3 kids to Africa, so we moved from crunchy granola Berkeley to high-tech Palo Alto. And it has been an adventure, and there's been definitely some culture shock. And I spent my first day at the JCC wondering, what's the protocol in the locker room? How do people build community in the preschool? What do people do for lunch? And I felt like this is the adventure that I'm missing. You walk in as a new staff person, you walk in as a new member to our JCCs, and people, we forget they're walking into a new country. We have to think of our JCCs as countries and us as ambassadors to our new members, and particularly to our new staff. Our webmaster has had quite an influence on our culture, and not because she manages our website. Nikki is our party planner. Who else has a party planner in their JCC? You know, the one that puts on the Purim party or puts on the Hanukkah party for all of the staff, because Nikki felt like it was too, we were in a Jewish organization and we needed to celebrate Jewish holidays together as a staff. And she's been able to influence the way we do that, the way we come together, the way we celebrate, and the way we let new staff and non-Jewish staff know about what we do here. Sometimes we're lucky enough to consciously create the culture that we want. When I first started at the JCC, the Oshman family JCC, we were in a preschool crisis. Some of my preschool staff is here and they remember those days. Our long-term directors had just left, and we were told that the preschool staff had been told, don't bother going over to the B building. The preschool is in one part of the building, and the B building, which is our administration building, is over here. And people said, don't bother going over there. You're not going to get anything done. They're not that helpful over there. And so we as management decided we were going to break down that silo, and we were going to change things up. And we decided to spend a lot of time in the preschool. We had fireside chats, and we met with every teacher individually. And we created huddles, which we ended up calling cuddles, in which they were 15-minute stand-up meetings where people from the administration and the management team, as well as teachers and the receptionists, would come together and talk about what was happening that week, happening that day. And it just gave everybody an opportunity to talk and to be open. And we were able to create this more open environment so that people felt like they had ownership of the process. They could come over to the B building and not only get things done, but also see their friends. And it created a totally different way of interacting. We all end up walking into our buildings, new people walk into our buildings, and do they feel like they're in a different country when they walk into every department? One of the things that we think about is how do we create that same language across the JCC? When I lived in northern Ghana, I lived in an area where there were 5 to 7 languages spoken in the house in which I lived, and I couldn't understand any of them. And people would say, Sally, have you learned a new language? And I was like, are you kidding me? How can you learn a new language and there are 5 different ones spoken? I couldn't distinguish Dagbani from Twi from Hausa. I mean, what did I know? I want to be really sure that we're not doing that with our members as they walk in, as our new staff walk in. We have to be ambassadors for our country. We have to figure out ways to share the same language across the borders. When I was at the JCC of the East Bay, we knew that we needed to develop a culture of philanthropy. We didn't want it so that everyone thought, oh, that's development's job. How many of the development department feels like everyone says it's development's job over there? So we started really simply, and we started up by putting up a fundraising thermometer. And it enabled people to come in and talk to us about what we were fundraising for. The front desk staff would be able to talk to the kids. They would come in and check how far are we up on the thermometer. And so then we took it a step further, and we had our staff writing notes on the letters, on the appeal letters. And then families would be coming in and talking to the staff about what they had said and how nice it was, and why are you fundraising? And everybody was able to start talking about the same language from the same place. We were all able to talk about development, about fundraising in a similar way, and it made us all together come together as a team, as well as a community, to be able to have this common language of what we were doing. I want to challenge us all to think about the culture in our departments, in our JCCs, and what we can do to influence them. This is where your Proflexpontiff, I got the word in there, comes in. Because what we do every day, as Jared was talking about, it matters, and how you react to that incident when somebody's pooping on the floor. It really does matter how that person feels and how they go out into the community and talk about us. Recently, we had a new yoga instructor start, and our group fitness manager sent an email out to all of the staff, and this was the email she wrote back. And I take it so that I have it verbatim. I just want to say how much I appreciate you sending this to your JCC instructors, many of whom are my colleagues. What a nice way to welcome me to your JCC. I must say, between this and your kindness and attention at our recent meeting, I really feel welcome as I join your awesome gym. In all of my years of teaching, I don't remember ever getting a welcome quite this generous. So I just wanted to tell you. You guys know how to do it right. Thanks so much for your attention. And please know that I will position my teaching at the JCC in the same light. Wow, right? Like, that's what we want. So I challenge you to think about, how do you change your culture to be Proflexpontiff? What are you doing to adapt? Where's that adventure? I realize that you don't have to go to Africa to get that kind of adventure. Dear Mom and Dad, just leaving the Philippines today. Went to a movie last night. Haven't seen one in a while. It was amazing. The place was packed. People were sitting double-seated. People were sitting on the aisles. And the movie started, and as the movie went on, people left, and new people came in and took their spots. And it was a game of musical chairs. And so we had started out on the stairs. We ended up getting a good seat in the middle. Sometimes you just got to adapt to the culture you're in. Love, Sally. Thank you.